Francis Cole, EU official, we interviewed you last week, and it's fair to say you made some fairly bold predictions for how well UKIP would do. They didn't do that well. You'll doubtless say that they garnered a lot of the votes. Is that the case?
It's absolutely true. The electoral system in the UK means, unfortunately, that we got 3.8 million votes and only one seat in Westminster. But if you compare it to other parties, the Greens, the Lib Dems and the Scottish Nationalists, they had a lower percentage and far more seats in Westminster, and something has to change. The system is wrong.
In all fairness, Francis, it strikes me that I don't remember UKIP banging on about this too much in the run-up to the election. They didn't seem to be sort of promoting the idea of PR very strongly in the run-up. If you'd won, say, 10 to 15 seats, or even 20 as you predicted, might you be a bit more quiet about PR now?
Well, no, PR, I believe UKIP's position has always been that there should be a fairer system in the UK. When there was a referendum on PR a couple of years ago, UKIP's position was not the system that was up for offer on that referendum. We've got to have a fair system that reflects the overall percentage of votes that are obtained by a party in the whole of the country. And on that basis, we would have 80 seats with 3.8 million votes cast. I was very actively involved last week. I was at the count in Boston and Skegness, which was the second best performance of the UK for UKIP in the whole of the UK. Robin Hunter-Clark, very young candidate, got over 14,000 votes, and the Conservatives beat him by 3,000 votes, so 3,500. It's a seat that we can win next time round. There is a huge basis of support now for UKIP in places like Boston Skegness, not only in terms of the national elections, but in terms of council elections as well. UKIP won several council seats in Boston Skegness and are now equal with the Conservatives in Boston, the Boston Council. There's a great potential for UKIP, just as there was for the Lib Dems 40 years ago, starting with the council elections and then building on a long-term strategy to use that support at the grassroots level to deliver seats in Westminster next time round.
Yes, there can be no doubt that you've made a considerable impact on the UK and even European political scene. It's interesting times for your party, though. News reaches EU reporter that, in fact, Nigel Farage, his resignation has been rejected by the party. Where do you think that's going to go?
Well, Nigel, I've known him for years, recently has had health problems, and I genuinely believe that he could have done with some time off. But it's true that UKIP is now, based on the performance last week, in a good position to push for the referendum. The Conservatives have won an outright majority in Westminster, which I think is a good thing for the country. I believe that UKIP, even with only one MP in Westminster, can continue to push for policies that the Conservatives, to a large extent, have taken from UKIP on strange things. The BBC, suddenly the Conservatives are coming out with policies on immigration, on curtailing the bias of the BBC, things that UKIP have been talking about for some time. The Conservatives have, in a way, stolen the clothes of UKIP and are running away with it. I think it's very positive that there will be a referendum on membership of the European Union. It's a question of now negotiating the terms for that referendum, and it's going to be difficult for us to determine those terms, but I would like to see a situation where for the referendum, maybe I'm answering your next question, for the referendum where the votes in that referendum are only there for British citizens, not for EU citizens. There are lots of issues to be debated over the next couple of weeks, but I'm sure that UKIP is in a strong position now, being the third largest party in the UK by far in terms of popular representation, in terms of votes cast. I'm positive about the future.
Onward and upward then for UKIP, but my question still stands. Is it only Farage that can lead you?
Well, Douglas Carswell said quite openly when over the 2 days where there was an interregnum where Suzanne Evans was leader of the party for 2 days, and she did a damn good job during the 2 days, I must have to say. But seriously, there is a situation now where Nigel has to lead the party through these difficult times with the Conservatives, especially with regard to the referendum. I just hope that physically he's up to it. Mentally, I know he's up to it, but physically, after the plane crash and all the injuries he sustained there, it's going to be tough for him. But I'm in a way proud of him that he actually wants to carry on. And the fact is the party wants him to carry on.